Hello, welcome to my video, welcome to my channel. I want to talk to you all today about a book that I've read that I feel has had a big impact on my life and I feel could have a big impact on your life too. So it's not one of your typical productivity or self-help books, and I feel like there are a lot of those books out there that are widely discussed, and they're all great books and deserve credit in their own right because they offer a series of steps, in my eyes, that we can kind of apply to our own lives in order to lead happier, healthier, more fulfilling and productive lives, which is great. But I feel there is room for discussion around books that do document a journey from A to B and incorporate all the thoughts, feelings and emotions experienced by the author or by someone on that journey. So this book does do that. It's an autobiography and it was first recommended to me about 15 years ago. So about 15 years ago, I was just finishing school and going into college, and I went out for a meal with my dad and one of his friends. And this friend, Pat, had been helping me with maths tuition. Maths is something that I've always struggled with in my life, and he'd been helping teach me. And we went out for a meal, and I remember quite clearly eating my spicy korma, and Pat leant across the table and said to me, "Chris, whatever it is that you want to do in life, you can achieve it if you simply work hard and just strive towards your goals every single day." Now, what he said really resonated with me, but I don't feel like it properly sunk in. I don't feel like I've ever properly applied those words to my own life as such. And actually making this video and wanting to kind of share this book with you all has kind of made me reevaluate and really think about the message that he was telling me at that point. So off the back of what he said there's a book that I think you should read, and he lent it to me, and the book was Muscle: Confessions of an Unlikely Bodybuilder by Samuel Wilson Fussell. Now, before any of you switch off and think bodybuilding is not for me, let me just explain how I feel there are a lot of principles, thoughts and ideas embedded within this book that can be applied to any walk of life, whether you're into bodybuilding, sport in general, or not at all. So, as the book suggests, it follows the 4-year period of the author, who is 26 at the time and is, by all meaning of the word, an unlikely bodybuilder. He's an Oxford graduate from Oxford University in the United Kingdom, and he's just finished studying English literature, and both his parents are authors, and that's the route that he is very much expected to take in his own life. When the book starts, he's living in New York City in America, which is his home country, and he's telling us all about how he feels, and he feels very vulnerable and afraid at the time. And I will just add, this book is by no means a recent book. This is my copy right here. As you can see, it's pretty old, been around a while. I'd say it's at least, I don't know exactly how old, probably about 20 years old. But the author's feeling very vulnerable whilst they're in New York City. There's lots of crime going on around them. They're very dialed into what's happening, and they just feel very afraid. They're trying to hide away from everything. And in particular, there's this one guy that he's met who's bullying him, and the author kind of really resonated with me at the start of the book. They describe themselves as being tall, and for any of you that know me personally, you'll also know that I'm tall myself. And the author's picked out of the crowd by this bully, partially because of their height. Now, I can relate to this. The author is in fact only a measly 6'4", but when I was younger, not so much now, not at all now, I used to kind of slouch to try and hide my height to blend in, because it would be easy for me when I was younger to be picked out of a crowd. People would always make comments, and you just kind of wanted to blend in. You didn't really want to kind of stand out, and not to the same extent as this author, who was actually bullied directly as a result of it. Yeah, that really resonated with me. And the general kind of thoughts and feelings that I get at the start of this book are one of the author is just kind of being swept along by life. And I think perhaps that's something that we've all kind of experienced at some point. You kind of just get stuck into things, and life just kind of carries you along, and you feel like there's not a lot you can do to try and control it. You're just swept along in this kind of current of life. Now, the bodybuilder on one particular day runs into a bookshop to try and escape something that's happening outside, and he ends up seeing on this bookshelf a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I believe it was his autobiography. And the author takes one look at the front cover and thinks, if I was to make myself look like Arnold, there's a picture of Arnold on the front cover, then no one's ever going to mess with me ever again, because, you know, Arnold's obviously huge. So immediately, this is like kind of a light bulb moment for the author, who has been thinking of different ways in which they can try and like protect themselves. They're kind of looking for like a layer of armor to apply to their lives in order to keep external influences out. And I think that's a very important thing just to remember right now. The author's trying to keep like their kind of fears from the outside world outside of them. And they mention in the book trying to like join a chess club, join some sort of social group, anything to try and take their mind off of, you know, what's happening around them. And for me, reading that, I kind of feel as though the author is just potentially, all they're going to do by doing that at that stage of their life is like, kind of like get a comfort blanket, pull it over them, and yeah, sure, it will make you feel better for the short term, but it won't actually solve the problems that you're feeling. And what this book does sort of like, I feel, turn into is a real book of kind of like self-discovery and looking in on yourself to try and find out what kind of thoughts, feelings and emotions you're experiencing. And there is a period at the end of the book, and indeed throughout the book, where the author's kind of looking at how they feel and just kind of looking more like broadly at the world around them and what's going on. So the author buys Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, joins the gym the very next day. And again, I feel like that's quite profound to me. I'm someone that procrastinates quite a lot, and I'll think things through a lot before actually doing them. The author just kind of immediately starts bodybuilding. There's a real kind of urgency to his task, and I think that's because of how he's feeling, how like vulnerable and afraid he's feeling. He just really wants to engage with bodybuilding. Now, he describes very well the feeling of first walking into the gym. He kind of feels like he's way outside his comfort zone. Again, that's something that I think we should all try and emulate in our own lives. I think it's very easy, and indeed, there is quite a bit that I've read around how bad just sticking to your comfort zone, sticking inside your comfort zone really is. We should try on a regular basis to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and experience things that might not perhaps feel normal to us. And for Sam Fussell at the time, going to this gym as like a skinny, tall guy and seeing these kind of people, you know, working out at the gym, he kind of feels a bit like a fish out of water, for want of a better word. And it's only through kind of engaging with different people like that he would not normally have engaged with that he really starts to embrace this kind of like bodybuilding lifestyle and sets himself on a journey. So he makes friends throughout the book. These friends are instrumental in kind of getting him from where he is at the start of the 4-year period to where he is at the end of the 4-year period. And they all kind of teach him valuable lessons that help him kind of get there. The people he is exposed to are kind of, and the whole bodybuilding world is very much one of like, you get a sense that anything is possible. And he's routinely exposed to phrases such as, if you can dream it, you can believe it. If you work hard towards it, you can achieve it. You can be whatever you want to be. And even though some of that relates directly to like, if you want to be like massive, you can be massive just through doing these same things every day. I also feel like indirectly that can apply to anyone in any walk of life. If you want to do something in your life, you can achieve it. If you work really hard and apply yourself every single day with the same dedication that the author applied to the bodybuilding in this book, you can achieve it. And actually what he managed to achieve over 4 years, I think was great, inspirational and motivational. He managed to pack on about 80 pounds of muscle. His journey takes him from New York City to Southern California, where he is looking to try and like really develop as a bodybuilder. So when he's actually in New York City, he draws on the back of a napkin what he would look like in terms of this is what I want to look like after a certain period of time. And he then works religiously towards achieving that, and he reaches a stage at New York where he plateaus. I think again, like we can all reach plateaus in our life where you kind of like are developing and then you kind of stagnate and stop. Actually, what he did to combat that was just move away from the area that he was currently in. He knew that a lot of big bodybuilders were down in Southern California, and if he really wanted to achieve this image that he'd drawn on the napkin, he would have to go to Southern California to achieve that. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, we should all like move to different places, different locations in order to bypass plateaus in our own life. But I think it just goes to show like the kind of like dedication and thought around the steps that the author took in order to move past this plateau and advance in what they'd chosen to advance in. Now, the author's parents are very kind of like against his decision to go into bodybuilding, and one thing that he does do is kind of distance himself from the parts of his life that are kind of holding him back. And I'm not saying that we should distance ourselves from our parents, that's probably a bad idea, but one thing that his mum does say to her friends, who she's trying to explain, like, this is why my son is doing what he is doing, she says that she feels her son is a substance without form. That quote really hit home with me, because actually, I don't know about any of you, but I sometimes have felt as though I'm like just a substance, but not in any particular form. I've struggled to like identify and have like a sense of like self-identity and where it is that I actually fit into the world and my purpose here. And I just feel like, that's something that a lot of us, may have struggled with or are struggling with, and I don't think that's abnormal. It just kind of, it requires us to kind of go on these journeys of self-discovery, really just embrace certain things. I feel like a lot of us, maybe we work in jobs that don't encourage us to really think about who we are, think about our values, think about where it is that we want to go in life. So the author ends up kind of moving to Southern California. A lot of the people that he meets, as I've said, are people. They're people that we can relate to. If you've ever been to a gym, there'll be characters in this book that you can kind of instantly relate to. You'll be like, oh, this person is this person from my gym. They're all very like, they're big characters and they have big kind of impacts on Sam's life. Now, he does say at the beginning of the book that their identities have been amended in order to protect the people in real life. But that doesn't sort of like take away from the lessons that they impart to him. So the bodybuilder, having moved to California and embarked on this journey of kind of self-discovery, competes in a few different bodybuilding competitions. And one thing, again, that really resonated with me as well, and actually something I've given more thought to recently, is that what the author actually embarks upon is a journey towards perfection. Now, actually, I think perfection is one of those things that actually isn't attainable. It's something that could just leave you feeling miserable, and the author does describe himself as feeling miserable at the end, because they kind of get to a point where they're okay, but they acknowledge the fact that actually if they really want to become perfect, it's going to at least take another 4 years of their life to become anything close to perfect. Now, the friends that he has kind of like come across within the book, they're all trying to help him as best they can. And one thing that they are helping him with is his posing routine for competing in bodybuilding. And one thing that they're going through, and again, this is kind of like another analogy that I feel can be taken from bodybuilding and applied to our own lives, is actually we're not perfect at everything. And just like in bodybuilding, where perhaps you've got certain body parts that are better than others will surely be lagging behind your great body parts. So actually, if Sam had like great abs but his legs were weaker, he would try and make his posing routine on stage showcase his abs and not his legs. And I think in life, one thing that we can try and think of doing is really showcase what we're good at. We're all going to have parts of us that aren't so good as others, and instead of trying to be good at everything, just really focus down on certain things that are good and make them as best as you possibly can. Now, after the author has completed in his final bodybuilding competition, he knows deep down that actually he feels miserable and that carrying on with bodybuilding isn't something that he wants to do. And he kind of takes some time just to kind of really internally reflect and think about how it is that he's feeling. Now, going back to the start of the video, the author, Sam Fussell, was originally embarking upon this journey to try and stop these external thoughts and feelings influencing him and making him feel vulnerable. But actually, as he got towards the end of the book, he realized that the main reason that he kind of like embarked upon this quest in the first place was twofold. The first was to try and stop these external thoughts, feelings and emotions impacting on him. But the second was also because he just felt kind of like vulnerable in himself. And I'll just read a quote from this book right at the end, which I feel was very profound to me. So it goes, What I really was afraid of was risk. Risking to be myself. Risking to say what I actually felt. Risking to feel something for someone else. risking to let someone else feel something for me. Now, I think, again, this is something that we can all kind of relate to. And, you know, that feeling of trying to like close ourselves off from the outside, when actually what we need to do is be brave, go out there, really try and engage with people. Don't be afraid of what you're feeling. Don't be afraid of your emotions, and don't let life just kind of sweep you along. Really kind of try and focus on and work towards your goals every single day. I want to leave you all with 3 key points that I've taken away from this book. The first being, don't wait to start now. There is no time like the present. Just like the author did in his book, if there is something you want to achieve, go after it and start now. Do not wait. The second point is, developing strong relationships with people will help you on your quest towards achieving your goals, much like in this book where Sam's friends actually helped him achieve everything that he wanted to achieve on his quest towards perfection. And the third and final point is, work hard on what you want to achieve every single day, and you will achieve it. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. What I will be doing is giving away 1 copy of this book. I'll be posting it out to a random subscriber who I will select in the next 5 days. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you.